All right, praise God. We're here. Had all kinds of barriers to getting here, but we're here and we made it. And the computer is acting, so hopefully that holds out. And let's start in prayer from Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. We are in Isaiah chapter 44. Last time in 43, the chosen nation redeemed and restored. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. I know I was taken aback by this last time I was here. That was yesterday morning. I mean, on the surface, obviously it's talking about the nation Israel, and but can we apply it to people on the individual level? You know, is there something to that he knows us and he has bought and paid for us, and I don't know. And then by thy name. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. And I tried to say last time that was talking about hell. That's pretty much where we're cursed to go when or if we don't find Christ. You know, obviously that's where we're headed. But if he's with me, that's not going to happen, right? For I am the Lord thy God, the Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee, since thou wast righteous or precious in my sight. Thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee, and people for thy life. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east, and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, Give up, and to the south, Keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the ends of the earth. So I think what this is foreshadowing, it's probably foreshadowing future events when Israel will be regathered, right? We probably talked about all this last time, so I'm sorry. I don't mean to repeat. I'm just going through again, trying to remember. So, we're moving on to chapter 44 of Isaiah. We already prayed. The promise of the Spirit, the folly of idolatry. Yes, the folly of idolatry. Verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. Jeshurun. Upright. Jeshurun. Upright. Symbolical name of Israel. I didn't know that. Okay. Whom I have chosen. Verse 3. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water courses. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and beside me there is no God. And who as I shall call and shall declare it, and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people? And the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. Fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have not I told thee from that time, and have declared it? Ye are even my witnesses. Is there a God beside me? Yea, there is no God, I know not any. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity, and their delectable things shall not profit, and they are their own witnesses. They see not, nor know, that they may be ashamed. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity, and their delectable things shall not profit, and they are their own witnesses. They see not, nor know, that they may be ashamed. Blindness. Moving on. 10. Who hath formed a god, or molten a graven image that is profitable for nothing? Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen they are of men. Let them all be gathered together, let them stand up, yet they shall fear, and they shall be ashamed together. The smith with the tongs both worketh in the coals, and fashioneth with the hammers, and worketh it with the strength of his arms. Yea, he is hungry, and his strength faileth. He drinketh no water, and is faint. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule, he marketh it out with a line. He fitteth it with planes, and he marketh it out with the compass, and maketh it after the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. I was listening to somebody recently, I think it was McGee, talking about making an idol, and how we make an idol out of convenience, or something that applies to that man, you know. That's kind of what it's saying there. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule, he marketh it out with a line, he fitteth it with planes, and he marketh it out with the compass, and maketh it after the figure of a man. The figure of a man. According to the beauty of a man. I don't know. That it may remain in the house. 14. He heweth him down cedars, and taketh the cypress and the oak, which he strengtheneth for himself among the trees of the forest. He planteth an ash, and the rain doth nourish it. Then shall it be for a man to burn, for he will take thereof and warm himself. Yea, he kindleth it and baketh bread. Yea, he maketh a god. He maketh a god, and worshippeth it. He maketh it a graven image, and falleth down thereto. So you make a god. That's how it works. Yeah, it really is. What the title of the chapter, The Folly of Idolatry. Yeah, it's folly. All right. It's pointless. It's maketh a god. Ah, man. People really are something, aren't they? Some of the things we make and waste our time with, you know. But it's very true what he's describing here. This is exactly the kind of pointless things that we do, and it's so bad. And we don't give any recognition to God. I'm just thinking of distant relations. I was just thinking of an old. He's a great guy. I hope he's saved, but I don't know. But he wasted all of his money, or not all of his money. He's pretty well off, but he spent a bunch of money on a bunch of Lord of the Rings replica swords from the movie. You know, like Gandalf's Glamdring or whatever the sword is, and look at this. I've got a replica sting. It'll sting you. It's rubber or plastic or it's garbage, you know. But so you worked all that time to buy all these stupid replicas, and now you've got them all hung up, and like, what's the point? Are you worshiping this movie? Or same problem that I have a lot of times, you know. I'm guilty of that a lot of times, as I've said before. There's a problem there. 16. He burneth part thereof in the fire, with part thereof he eateth flesh. He roasteth roast, and is satisfied. Yea, he warmeth himself, and saith, Aha, I am warm. I have seen the fire. Sounds like a caveman or something. You know, that's about how intelligent we are. Aha, fire, warm. 17. And the residue thereof he maketh a god, even his graven image. He falleth down unto it, and worshippeth it, and prayeth unto it, and saith, Deliver me, for thou art my God. They have not known nor understood, for he hath shut their eyes that they cannot see, and their hearts that they cannot understand. I know I'm not supposed to take the book of Jasher as, you know, in the same vein as the Bible, but there's a great example in there of how Abraham, what they describe there is exactly how we should come to the realization of God's, you know, God is here, you know. I really appreciate that, because that's, I forget what I was going to say, but it was saying how he basically the religion of that day, that was Nimrod, was reigning in the area, and his father Terah had, what do you think? Wood and stone, right? As a bunch of gods. It's like 12 of these wood and stone statues. Are probably all the same statues of you'd find in Greek mythology, or similar, another twist on the fallen angels. That's probably all they represent. Um, but Abraham, as he's growing, he realizes it as he's living, and as he works and lives and breathes and sees with his eyes, and he recognizes over the course of a bit of time, he realizes, there's not just, there's not a God for each element. A lot of people like to, it's the moon god, this or that, it's the god of the grass, or it's the god of the tiger, and they'll come up with a different god for everything, and that's not how it is. And Abraham connected everything together in that book. And I know it's not part of this Bible, but I feel like that's a good example of um, how we should realize that, when we walk outside, when we breathe the air, when we see all the trees, when we see the animals. This morning I almost ran over a squirrel. Hopefully I didn't. The sun was, it's the worst time to drive here. The sun reflects just perfectly and almost blinds you, and I couldn't see, and I might have run over a squirrel. It feels like garbage now because of that, but you should recognize as you walk out there, God is very real. And unfortunately, with the society and culture we live in, there's an absolute dismissal of that line of thought, Instead, it's, like I said, worldly, lustful. It's completely blind, which is what he's also describing here. We're being dumbed down so obviously, and that's the thought I was having yesterday. We are so blind. If only I could get people to read this Bible, That's really what he's calling us out to do, and recognize him. See him. I'm sorry. They have not known nor understood, for he hath shut their eyes that they cannot see, and their hearts that they cannot understand. That was my main point with 18. Abraham, God must have blessed him and given him the opportunity to open his eyes and see him, Versus most people, they just grab whatever's right in front of them and make a mockery of everything and never come to the fruition, the realization of the existence of God. They take it all for granted, and life is so pointless. And none considereth in his heart, neither is there knowledge. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about with that discussion in Jasher. Abraham, that's exactly what Abraham does. He's considering it, he's thinking about it, he's walking out there, and he realizes, there is only one God. I get it now, None considereth in his heart, neither is there knowledge nor understanding to say, I have burned part of it in the fire. Yeah, you just burned half of your God in the fire. How ridiculous, I have burned part of it in the fire. Yea, also I have baked bread upon the coals thereof. I have roasted flesh and eaten it. And shall I make the residue thereof an abomination? Shall I fall down to the stock of a tree? I jokingly said to my brother one time I was doing a Yul Brynner impression. Sorry for the movie reference, but I was acting like Pharaoh, and I said, "Your stick god can't compete with me, Moses." You know, so I'm being funny, you know, trying to be, anyway. So I was trying to do the Yul Brynner impression as Pharaoh, and my brother is Moses, Charlton Heston, and yeah, stick god. That's pretty much what we're talking about here. The stick god. You can just throw it anywhere, burn it in the fire, and yes, you know, it's completely ridiculous. 20. He feedeth on ashes, a deceived heart hath turned him aside, that he cannot deliver his soul, nor say, Is there not a lie in my right hand? He feedeth on ashes, a deceived heart hath turned him aside, that he cannot deliver his soul, nor say, Is there not a lie in my right hand? 21. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee. Thou art my servant, O Israel. Thou shalt not be forgotten of me. I have blotted out as a thick cloud thy transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins. Return unto me, for I have redeemed thee. Sing, O ye heavens, for the Lord hath done it. Shout, ye lower parts of the earth. Break forth into singing, ye mountains, O forest, and every tree therein. For the Lord hath redeemed Jacob, and glorified himself in Israel. Thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad. Yeah, I bet Balaam, or Balaam, you know, that guy, he was a diviner. I bet he was pretty upset when he couldn't curse them. You know, he couldn't get paid for doing that, right, by Balak. So he hires a bunch of dancing girls, obviously. That's how you get around it. That turneth wise men backward, and maketh their knowledge foolish. I'm sorry. That is so right now. That is, oh man. You seen this? Some of these hearings, like Rand Paul is questioning this humanoid being about what are they called? Hormone blockers or something? This humanoid being, you know what I'm talking about, Rand Paul. He's talking to this humanoid being, questioning it about hormone blockers and how can a 3-year-old know what he or she is going to become. Can a 3-year-old make a safe decision, you know, before you start pumping them with a bunch of chemicals and irreversibly mutate them into Igor or something, you know, probably worse than that. You know what I'm talking about. That is completely insane. The whole discussion is completely insane, and what we have said is knowledge is complete nuthouse, really, from God's eyes. But then from the world's perspective, it's regarded as totally natural, and if you think otherwise, then you should be shot. So I guess they should get on with shooting me. It's ridiculous. And that's exactly how it is. It probably was exactly the same way at the downfall of their country. Um, it's just, see how relevant the Bible is? 26. That confirmeth the word of his servant, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, that saith to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Judah ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof, that saith to the deep, Be dry, and I will dry up thy rivers. The prophecy concerning Cyrus and the restoration under Ezra and Nehemiah. That saith of Cyrus, He is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be built, and to the temple, Thy foundation shall be laid. This was written before, that's why they call it a prophecy. And this happened, and Cyrus did this. And why would he do that to a conquered nation? He's conquered them. He has them enslaved. He can do whatever he wants with them. Why would he be so nice to them, if not for the hand of God? Another amazing miracle here. So this first note, we'll continue talking about Cyrus in the next chapter here. But this first note, like I said, where Josiah was mentioned by name 300 years before his birth. I might have the wrong spot. No, that should be right. But why is it saying Cyrus? I don't know. That's confusing. But the point is, the main point with the note is that mentioning there, it's prophetic, and the prediction was made, or the prophecy was made, saying 300 years there, but I guess that makes sense, actually. Yeah, a great deal of time, at least a couple hundred years before that event happened, it was already written down. So that tells you something there, that there must be a God. All right, we'll continue with 45 next time. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day.